to the Environmental Education Podcast from the Cumbria Uni at Ambleside campus. My name is Gloria. This is our first and possibly last podcast. Today we hope to educate people on some environmental issues because we believe that now is the time for you, the listeners, to make a difference. Many people are overwhelmed by the ongoing environmental issues that we face. This podcast will hopefully give you the knowledge to be able to make a difference. So today we're going to talk about Leave No Trace, our relationship with animals, and forest schools. First up, we've got Barbara, and she is going to be talking about Leave No Trace.
As of present, Leave No Trace is a non-profit organisation that was founded in 1994. The organisation actually sprouted from the ideas of the US Forest Service and their need to combat the increase in public land use in the 1960s. This came as a result of an increase in accessibility to the wilderness by means such as through logging roads, increased automobile use, and organisations such as the Sierra Club. This increase in wilderness visitation meant the US Forest Service wanted to regulate and restrict use through permits. And then of course came the Wilderness Act of 1964, which was passed, further tightening rules and regulations. Following this, the 1970s further refined and tightened regulations, and out of it came the encouragement to visit the backcountry to help spread the recreational use of wilderness and try to discourage many others from going out in the first place. Because of this, groups or individuals going into the wilderness that wanted support and protection meant they had to go somewhere with recreational access. From here on, minimal camping / backpacking was created. This new modern wilderness ethic, based purely on the aesthetics of the landscape, was born. There was no need to have knowledge or understanding of the land being used, and all that was taught was that if nature was altered, it was wrong. This ethic has since been adopted by many who use the outdoors recreationally, telling people to go light and of course to leave no trace. This has also created a massive camping and outdoor industry, allowing people to carry an entire camp on their back. So the LNT movement has been so successful that most of Western culture takes this ideology, even if the individual has not been properly informed about the official organisation and the whole movement. So Leave No Trace has become the main ethic that influences most outdoor users in the West, and it is not one that is questioned. However good it may seem on the surface, the LNT approach may actually be doing more harm than good. So I'm going to go through some of the LNT principles and then some of the issues. Alright, so the 7 principles that they encourage you to follow are plan ahead and prepare, which means to check the weather, terrain, clothing and fitness. Number 2, travel and camp on durable surface. Under this is travel in single file, camp on established campsites and share the campsite. Number 3, dispose of waste properly, dig cat holes. So principle number 4, leave what you find, do not vandalise. Number 5, minimise campfire impact, only use stoves, fires are for emergencies only. Number 6, respect wildlife and don't disturb or feed the animals, don't pick leaves or flowers. Number 7, be considerate of other visitors. For example, use headphones instead of listening to loud music on a speaker, and be courteous when passing communities. These 7 principles may seem on the surface harmless ways to protect the environment. However, when you actually look at the ethical reasoning behind the principles, which is to ultimately help the environment, this is actually not being achieved, and I believe it's actually driving a wedge in between us and nature.
So Barbara, I've got a little question for you.
Yes,
on
Gloria.
the fires, because loads of people will go out with the families and stuff like that camping, and when I go camping I usually have a campfire and sit around it just to keep warm and just have a chat around it, that kind of thing, because it's nice, but I'm not always just cooking on it. So why should we, is that the wrong thing to do then? We shouldn't be doing that?
Well, actually that's exactly what I'm trying to discourage is instead of using stoves, try and actually use fires where you can. Their principle encourages to use stoves at all times except for in emergencies when fires are allowed. This actually spreads the notion that stoves leave no trace, whereas fires do and are bad for the natural space being occupied. This is simply not true. Stoves do leave a trace. There is a trace somewhere from which the elements were mined in order to build the stove and the container, a trace to where the stove was manufactured, and a trace leading underground or under the sea to collect the fuel for the stove, and then furthermore a lorry or a boat to deliver it all to you. This contradicts leave no trace whole ethical principle, which is to ensure the long-term health of the natural world. An argument for the stove may be in favour of the inexperienced, where fire setups are burned improperly and could pose the risk of forest fires in many hot and dry places. On the other hand, this only outlines the paramount importance of the need to gain the correct knowledge and therefore to become competent at the essential and fundamental outdoor skills. The Leave No Trace 7 principles create an undetectable ignorance in those who know little about the great outdoors, protects and supports people that take part in outdoor recreation without actually educating them about why the natural places they visit are so important. Instead, what it does is it keeps wilderness visitors at a distance and forces them to view things in an anthropocentric bubble rather than further enforcing a disconnection.
Can you just tell us what anthropocentric is? Because a lot of people might not even know what that means.
Yeah, anthropocentric means that everything we do, we're doing it for human benefit.
Ah, right, okay.
So we don't really care about what we're doing to the plant or an animal, as long as it is of benefit to us,
right,
as humans.
Just clear that up.
Yeah. So, and by driving this disconnection, being disconnected from something, it becomes far easier for us not to care about its future, which is why we have so many problems with the environment and the increasing disconnect from it.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
But we can have fires and people, that's what we're saying.
Yeah.
Is there any benefit to having a real fire that, you know, from the materials you found on the, you know, your area?
One of the benefits would be to not burn the fossil fuels used in the stove, so you're not using that there. Burning dead wood that's already fallen from a tree can help.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay, so continuing with the this anthropocentric view, and onto the actual environmental ethics behind L&T. The environmental ethicists are trying to steer away from this anthropocentric view, which is engraved in traditional ethical views, and Leave No Trace is not attempting to do this. And Leave No Trace as a philosophy does not think on a global scale, as made clear in some of the points discussed. The L&T Centre for Outdoor Ethics is a perfect example of the way the recent generations of humans, particularly in Western culture, view the environment and have been taught and influenced by their culture right from birth into believing that there is a separation between humans and the concept of nature. To change this, environmental education needs to change in order for future generations to go down a better path environmentally.
Okay, Barbara, is that you finished?
Yeah, if you've got any more questions, I've got a few articles that I'll list off at the end.
Oh, excellent, that would be good.
Gloria.
I think it's really important that people know background information on little things like the fire stove, that kind of thing. So
Yeah.
I never knew that. Excellent. Okay, so you touched on wildlife and how
One of the principles.
One of the principles, was how we can
respect the wildlife and don't disturb them. Yeah.
Excellent, and that leads us nicely on to Ethel, who is going to talk about how we may be affecting animal habitats.
Thank you, Gloria, and good morning, all you people.
Good morning, Ethel.
So, I'm going to speak about animal habitats. So, throughout history, animals have lived and hunted in the wild, and now in this generation, their habitats are posing a great threat on the world's forests, swamps, lakes, and all other areas that they live in. They're starting to disappear, and now we humans are taking their homes and using them for our own consumptions of industrial developments.
Yeah.
Without a strong plan to protect these species, their ecological habitats will continue to decrease at a rapid rate. Habitat loss is one of the greatest threats to the biodiversity of the life on this planet to date. By 2025, it is said that 1/5 of all animal species could quite possibly be lost, and a whopping 85% of these animals are already classified as endangered or threatened. Basically, if we keep pushing them out, this can become very real, these statistics. Some animals can only be found in certain ecosystems, so by exterminating them and these habitats, it's going to reduce the population of these species, and it's going to create a reduction in their genetic diversity and perhaps many other problems.
Right. God, that's a really scary thought, though, isn't it? By the 2025, that
1/5.
of the animal species could be lost. And there's a fact on the WWF, which they've released a little while ago, actually. And apparently, the Earth has lost half of its wildlife in the past 40 years.
Yeah.
Half in the past 40 years.
Half.
That's loads of people wouldn't know that.
No, they wouldn't.
But that's a horrible thought, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Okay, sorry, Ethel, carry on.
Okay, so we are shoving these animals into zoos and other places that they don't necessarily belong in, places that are said to help, which we say they help, but they clearly are not, because we are creating the problem. We are developing more barriers, which is a knock-on effect from this Leave No Trace Act, as we're barging our way through the habitats with little to no respect at all. In reality, we should be creating what we already took and are still taking away from them. We should be trying to keep what's already there. Once it's gone, it's lost forever, and we can't exactly replicate this. And we're making these living species, much like us, suffer due to our unstoppable need for more of everything, because we are such a greedy race and we want more and more, and we don't really understand that we cannot push all these animals out for our own benefits.
Yeah, no, that's really good. I think it's really good point's been made there, and I think it is important to say that we don't think everybody is greedy, because there is a lot of people out there trying to make a difference, but there is some people that are just not aware of the facts, and that's the whole idea of what we're trying to get across. So
yes, and I think that not everyone is aware, because it's the people that are in power or in a state of power that don't educate us exactly, and because we are not educated, we don't have a clue what's happening. And I think the people that are in power are the ones that are producing these industrial developments and pushing these animals out, so they do not want us to necessarily know about it, because then they'd look bad, really.
yeah, so what you're saying is it could be more done of the educational side of things to make people understand. Yeah. Excellent.
Yeah.
I mean, just while we're on that topic, I hope you don't mind me going on about this. It's a bit off topic. But actually, I was doing some research myself lately on the culling of mountain hares, and it really got me thinking about the way a lot of us, and including me, humans, should I say, we may perceive ourselves to be a bit more superior to other living things in the world, so animals, insects, trees, plants, that kind of thing. And it does seem that within environmental ethics as a subject, a fundamental question that's considered is, what is our attitude towards nature, and what that should be. Nature's in inverted commas. This question has a lot of environmentalists divided over what kind of respect nature commands and what kind of value we think nature has. So this is maybe something that the listeners can think about. So what value do they put on an animal, such as from the tiniest to the biggest? Okay, thanks very much, Ethel. That was a brilliant piece for all those animal lovers out there. Hope you've got some good tips on how you can help your little furry friends.
Peace.
Now, it's time for a little song by the legend that is Joni Mitchell, and the song is Big Yellow Taxi. Make sure you listen to those lyrics, folks.
They paved paradise, put up a parking lot with a pink hotel, a boutique, and a swinging hot spot. Don't it always seem to go that you don't know what you've got till it's gone? They paved paradise, put up a parking lot. They took all the trees, put them in a tree museum, and they charged the people $1.50 just to see 'em. Don't it always seem to go that you don't know what you've got till it's gone? They paved paradise, put up a parking lot. Hey, farmer, farmer, put away the DDT now. Give me spots on my apples, or leave me the birds and the bees. Please don't it always seem to go that you don't know what you've got till it's gone. They paved paradise, put up a parking lot. Late last night, I heard the screen door slam, and a big yellow taxi took away my old man. Don't it always seem to go that you don't know what you've got till it's gone? They paved paradise, put up a parking lot. I said, don't it always seem to go that you don't know what you've got till it's gone? They paved paradise, put up a parking lot. They paved paradise, put up a parking lot. They paved paradise, put up a parking lot.
Well, I hope you all enjoyed that great song there by Joni Mitchell, very relevant.
Very.
Now we have Gladys and Susan who are going to be talking about forest schools. Okay, take it away, Gladys.
Yes, so forest schools are fundamentally the most important educational development in the world today, as it is changing the way people think about education and our link to nature.
So there's bushcraft, importance of using natural resources, natural habitats, recycling, reusing nature, and then identifying plants and animals and their uses are just some of the aspects from forest schools. Forest schools allow children to experience nature, which can give an insight into the importance of sustaining the Earth's natural resources and how it can benefit themselves and then generations to come. Forest schools also offer unique experiences outside of the classroom. It offers children an opportunity to access an outdoor environment that is safe and stimulating.
Forest schools are becoming more popular across the country with the support of the county councils encouraging participation in these courses. It appears that the government are pushing it more in the past decade due to issues such as global warming and the need to educate our children on looking after the environment for the future. For this reason, similar to the Leave No Trace ethical approach, to initiate forest schools comes from an anthropocentric ethical approach as well. However, the forest schools themselves take an ecocentric ethical approach. This means that they're encouraging participation and links to nature from a perspective of actions being beneficial to the ecosystem, such as nature, flora, fauna, and the environment, as opposed to humans gaining benefits from it. Forest schools aren't a recent thing. It's been used in the Scandinavian countries such as Denmark and Sweden since the 1950s. Now Sweden is so much further ahead than the rest of the countries on developing an environmentally sustainable culture. This is evidenced with their recycling system that results in less than 1% of household waste going to landfill and the rest being burned for energy, which goes into the national heating system. These actions are the results of educating children about looking after the environment from the word go, such as the first steps of this being with forest school.
So, in the UK, forest schools are part of the curriculum for early years, which includes ages 3 to 5. However, after the age of 5, it's not carried on in the national curriculum. But 6 years plus are able to take part in forest schools, but this is sometimes costly and it's also out of school hours.
Forest schools are recognised by organisations such as National Trust, Forestry Commissions, Wildlife Trust, RSPB, WWF and county councils, and run sessions for a wide range of ages. For more information, you can check out the Forest School Association website itself or these other organisations.
Okay, thanks guys. So just to make people aware then, so how can this, what you just talked about, forest schools, how can that be beneficial to the environment itself?
So basically, it's just getting children outside, getting them back into connection with nature, getting them to learn where things come from, how to reuse like natural resources.
Right.
Sustaining the environment is an important part of forest schools. Bushcraft, because it's using natural resources again. learning how to build a fire outside. And I suppose it goes back to leave no trace as well, because we're not teaching them to use jet balls and all those pots.
Right.
We're teaching them to actually build a fire using natural resources again.
So that's actually that's a disagreement with what the principles of the leave no trace say, then, isn't it? One of them
kind of contradicts
so
that,
that's,
doesn't it?
yeah, it does a little bit. But no, that's interesting. And what about when people? So these, what age are these kids that are doing it?
So the curriculum says 3 to 5, so it's in the curriculum there. However, children ages 6 and above can get involved, but sometimes it's costly. Sometimes parents can't get there, and it is out of school hours. So,
is there a way then, do you think, that they could incorporate this into high schools, or even junior schools?
There is a way, and it's not in the curriculum itself. However, with the whole learning outside the classroom manifesto and the outdoor education, that is what it's trying to do, to encourage children going out, because if they're doing it in an enjoyable way, they're more likely to then respect the outdoors, because they can see the enjoyment factor and what they can get out of it. So they're more likely then to follow through and be
it's just
more
embedding that in them in an early age, basically.
If you do it with a young age, if you're doing it from an enjoyable factor, then it's more likely to stick with them later on. But they need to carry it on within the curriculum for it to have a lasting effect, because otherwise they stop at the age of 5 and too many assessments and education takes over, so all the good done at the start could be undone.
And I suppose it'd be good if parents could learn more about it as well, so when they do get a little bit older, they can just take them out on their own and carry that on while they're going through the next junior school or whatever, if the curriculum doesn't offer anything. So maybe that's something.
It needs to be integrated more into higher education for it to actually be effective, because those are the people that are going to be actually running the country and actually being able to make a difference.
But then it is argued as well about how 95% of
the mental,
thing,
by the time a child is 5 years old, 95% of their brain sort of is already made up. So the things they experience, especially before 7 itself as well, is sort of what will make that child the way that they are, in a way, for the rest of their life. But with the whole, they're saying that children nowadays have nature deficit disorder, but then it's also the parents as well that restricts children's going out, being with the nature. I think there's a statistic with 43% of adults don't want their children going out into the outdoors by themselves until at least 14 years old. So it's not just changing the children, but also changing the parents' perspective as well. It's a two-way street. So with forest schools, if they got parents involved with their children, then it would have an even greater effect.
That was is this risk factor that's been hammered into parents' heads, isn't it?
parental anxiety, which is a whole different branch.
So that we can go off on a tangent on that, couldn't we, guys? Excellent. Well, thank you very much. That was very informative. As Gladys said, you can comment on the page if you've got any questions at all, and we'll endeavour to get back to you with some very good information.
Steps of this being with forest school. Tips, take one.
Okay, so we've had some questions sent in, and we've let a few people know what we were going to do, and I think Susan has got the questions there.
Yeah, so Gloria, I've got this one here, which is quite good. What do you mean by nature?
Okay, so nature, in the Western sense, a lot of people view it as being the landscape, trees, nice views, animals, that kind of thing, but there are a lot of people that also believe that humans are nature themselves. So when people talk about, oh, it's nice to be in nature, they might find it a bit confusing.
Yeah, it creates a separation, doesn't it? It's
exactly.
saying that you're not a part of the nature, but really everything is nature.
Exactly.
We are one
That's
with nature.
So and we talk about artificial products, but they also question that as well, saying like how plastic
because it was all made from the earth anyway to begin with, so what?
Exactly.
Where is the line?
Okay then, Gloria, so let's just sum it up. So what do you mean by nature?
Okay, so nature for this podcast, so we're including plants, animals, the landscape.
That's great. Yeah, lovely. Thanks for that.
Everything that features on the product's earth, as opposed to humans or human creations.
Good answer.
Nice. Yeah.
We've got a quote here by Albert Einstein. It says, "A human being is part of the whole, called by us universe, a part limited in time and space. He experiences himself, his thoughts,
And feelings as something separated from the rest, a kind of optical delusion of his consciousness. This delusion is a kind of prison for us, restricting us to the personal desires and to the affection for a few persons nearest to us. Our task must be to free ourselves from this prison by widening our circle of compassion to embrace all living creatures and the whole of nature in its beauty.
Okay, so I've got a bit of a scenario / question here. It's from a lady. She's a single mum of 2. Her children are both under the age of 5. She works full time, Monday to Friday, sometimes Saturdays as well. What can her children do to make a difference?
Yeah, well, it can seem very daunting to people, as we said before, because people think it's hard for them to make any difference, but it is really easy for anyone to be an environmentalist, just by changing simple little things in their daily routine. It doesn't have to be anything massive. So an example could be turn the tap off while you're brushing your teeth. Have we all got an example we could give?
So one that could benefit from the animals and the wildlife is just making sure that you don't really rake your leaves, or keeping and collecting all the branches that fall off the trees in your garden and putting them at the end of your garden to allow like the birds and all that, the wildlife, to make little homes for themselves and your garden as well.
It's a great idea, actually.
So simple things you can do is you can be nature detectives, so do like a nature scavenger hunt is a great way to explore your back garden, neighbourhood or any green spaces. Even a bug hunt can work well too. You can get crafty. Children are natural collectors, so encourage them to collect everything from pine cones to leaves for a home craft project.
My tip is to make an actual conscious effort to connect with nature by becoming knowledgeable about the natural world, and then to go out and explore it.
And how do we become knowledgeable?
Read.
By
Lots of
listening
books.
to our podcast.
Yeah.
Cool, fab. So another top tip from me, I suppose, would be turning the lights off when you're not in the room, turning electricity off so it's not on standby, unplug it, so then you're saving electricity, also going to save you money as well. Anyone else? Anything else?
Excellent.
Fab. So I hope that answers your question, single mum. Get out there and do your bit.
Yeah.
Right, Gloria, round us up.
Yeah, thanks. Oh, actually, there's one thing that we could suggest for children that they would probably enjoy doing this. The Woodland Trust Facebook page, they're advertising to get a free packet of seeds so you can plant a tree. Because they're trying to plant, I don't know how many number it is, but lots more trees by the year 2020, I think. But if you go on the Facebook page and just type in Woodland Trust, you can fill in your details and they'll send you out the seeds. So that's something fun that
For
you can
free?
do. Yeah, for free as well. Yeah, and make a difference, and then the children can watch and grow. I suppose that could be reconnecting with nature. Anyway, thank you for listening today. We hope that it's been of some use to you, to maybe open your mind up to some of the environmental issues that are going on around the world, and how simple it is for you to be able to make a little change. But if you do need any more information, or if you've got any questions, then you can just comment on the page and we'll do our best to answer them. But I'd just like to thank everyone that's coming in today. You've all been very informative.
Yeah, nice one, Gloria.
Thanks, Gloria.
Nice
Thanks,
one.
Gloria.
Bye.
Bye.